Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 31 of Shonen and Chill, hosted by Zenrotto and Oceaniz.
Hello. We know the number for once.
We we double checked ahead of time so that we didn't start the episode saying, What is this? How many times have we done this fucking thing?" It's
Yeah, I
great.
mean, every time we say the number wrong, like something terrible happens on Earth.
Yeah, well,
Like
yeah, catastrophes in
if
in
we
other
say
nations.
if we say 33 next week instead of 32, a random volcano on the other end of the world just erupts.
Undersea
Like
earthquakes. Sorry.
Shonen Chill stonks plummet.
It's all over the news. Those small anime podcasts causing natural disasters because
I
hosts can't
cannot
get it together.
I cannot wait for Bill O'Reilly's segment on us. Is he even still around?
I don't know. I don't think he is. I think Tucker Carlson is Bill O'Reilly now.
Oh, I mean, okay, they kind of do all look the same anyway, so.
Well, there's always one. It's like Undead Unluck when you're so awful that your show dies, its horribleness just moves into a new host.
And it just takes over. Like Tucker Carlson was a completely regular person until Bill O'Reilly stepped down, and he was just overtaken by this immense amount of racism and
Just this
bigotry.
dark cloud of miasma that's soaked into his veins.
He's just drinking coffee in the morning, and suddenly, like, it overtakes him. He's like, the non-whites, no. We have not talked about a single series yet.
No, well, it's only been a minute and 42 seconds. That's actually a pretty good time for us.
Oh wow, we're doing great.
Yeah.
So, top threes.
Top threes. You can go first.
My number 3 was Undead Unluck. Number 2 was My Hero Academia, and number 1 was Gotsu Gotsen.
All right. My number 3 was Dr. Stone. Number 2 was My Hero Academia. Number 1 was Jujutsu Kaisen. So pretty close lists this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's always the usual suspects that bring peak fiction.
That's true.
And
That's true.
the other ones usually bring, auxiliary gas. Just
backup generators of Kino.
just to make sure we don't run out. To keep you alive a little bit longer after
It's
that
like those
cliffhanger.
memes of the people in Texas filling up plastic bags with gasoline, except it's us and like Candy Flurry and Undead Unluck in bags. Just in case the Kino shortage is.
Oh, dude, that's me every time Shonen Jump is on break. The Kino shortage.
The Kino shortage.
Well, where do we start? What's the list say?
Okay, so the first one on the list today is Candy Flurry.
Pretty cool. I like the way we're going into this exam arc. I like the 7 corners through which we got into a way for her to be even more of an underdog. Where it's like, oh yeah, you're just gonna be put in the team with the whiny, bratty, spoiled kid, and also you're going to be given an extra rule that makes you a bigger target. I thought that was pretty cool and fun.
Yeah, I like it. The exam arc looks like it's shaping up to be pretty cool. I like the little guy, the little sad boy who's also no nonsense.
Yeah. Like when the guy came in saying, "Oh, I'm the son of the CEO," I thought, okay, so this is gonna be our rival for this arc. And then the dude is just like, "Okay, well, your father can console you because I'm gonna send you the fuck home."
Yeah, he was like, then I think it would be best to go home and be consoled by your father.
Yeah, no, that's really funny. I'm not. That's the thing. I'm not sure how cool things can even get because she can't really use her powers. So it's all gonna be like cutlery weapons.
Right, she's fighting with the spoon. I mean, I guess the spoon is more or less like a lollipop, but she can't do the things like launching herself in the air and whatnot.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of gonna be interesting to see how the series handles that because I feel like so far the little scuffles we've gotten have always been very much candy powers, right?
Right.
So now with the cutlery, I'm thinking either we're gonna see essentially the second half of this show's power system, where we get to see okay, how does the reset actually work and how do they fight? Or it's just gonna go a completely different route, and she's gonna be able to use her powers somehow without blowing her cover, or with blowing her cover, and then the, the story just ends with her getting taken by the reset, and then we get into the new arc with her having to break out. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like she's gonna have to use her powers at some point because that's the whole
Mm-hmm.
point of the series.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder like, what's the special clause that lets the ice cream girl work with them? Because I thought it was all bad. I thought that all of it was illegal.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, the ice cream girl gets to be like a general. So I don't know if like maybe throughout the test they'll be like, we already know you have a lollipop
Oh,
powers and you just suck with them, so you couldn't possibly have blown up the city with lollipops. So we'll figure it
yeah.
out, or something. I don't know.
Maybe they have like a thing where if you're a power user, but you kill another power user, you get to be in the reset because
So
you
it's
like show
so it's
your
undead unluck
loyalty.
basically.
I guess. I suppose. But yeah, Candy Flurry was cool. Um, I did find it funny how this chapter started with essentially just the exact same panel the last chapter ended on, which is just the ice cream girl going, "So you're gonna do the exams, right?" And I think it's because the panel last week was so small and at the very end, I wonder if the mangaka was worried that people had missed it.
Yeah, he was like, okay, we
'Cause
gotta make sure that they know what we're talking about.
recap time.
One of my favorite things about this chapter is in the beginning of this, she was always like, thank God that people feel sorry for me because I'm cute and they'll always give me what I want. And now she's getting dragged on behind this dude because everyone feels sorry for him. So she's getting her whole dynamic from the beginning flipped on her, and she's getting
Yeah.
screwed over by some person that everyone feels bad for.
Yeah, but honestly, I kind of like the dude. Like, sure, he
I
seems
like him
super
too. I think he's
whiny.
gonna be one of those dudes who's like actually very capable, and it's just hidden
Mhm.
behind his goofiness.
Yeah, and I feel like he's a sweet kid. Because, like, his whole thing where he's, like, genuinely disappointed that he can't take the exam, and he doesn't even really throw much of a tantrum. He's just fucking whiny. Like, I like it. It sets him up nicely for the future. I can't wait to see what he can do.
Also, I love his
Um,
excuse of like, actually, I wasn't late. I was here 3 hours ago, but I thought I would look cool if I didn't go in on time.
that's such a that's such a Kakashi excuse. That just popped into my mind. That's like the most cancerous way to put it. But just sounds like something Kakashi would do. In
Yeah, but
like early
well, actually, that's
Naruto.
true because at first I was like, Kakashi's making an excuse, but then again, his excuses are actually true, aren't they? They're just outlandish,
Well,
but he actually does them.
well, no, weren't his excuses always because he was always at Obito's grave, and then he would always be late because he would lose himself all morning, and then it'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I had to find the meaning of life on my way," and then Naruto says something dumb and probably
I
gets two
thought
fingers up his
maybe
butt.
I thought his excuses were because Obito was always late because he would help people, so Kakashi was doing the same thing.
Oh,
But
true,
again,
true. There was that as well.
I haven't read Naruto up to the point where that would have been revealed in so long, so I don't remember.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that point because the thing is, in Naruto Part One, they show you that he's always late because he's at Obito's grave, which is interesting because Obito gets name dropped super early. Um, but yeah, they might have changed it later on. I mean, Kishimoto might have retconned that, which, like, if you write 700 chapters or something, retconning shit isn't really that big of a sin, in my opinion,
Yeah.
as long as it's nothing super major. Also, fun fact, Obito was not only name dropped first, but shown with his full face visible with the final design that he would later have in chapter 16 of Naruto,
Oh,
which
that's
is
pretty cool.
500 chapters before he like enters the story properly.
That's some
Like
wild foresight from a guy that wanted to make Naruto look like an animal and not have Sasuke in the series at all.
that's a wild foresight from a guy who went on record saying, "I never planned more than 7 chapters ahead because I was terrified of getting cancelled."
So what you're saying is he got to the point where Obito was going to be the villain and he was like, "Oh shit, oh shit. Who is this kid?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, I
Oh
drew him
fuck.
already. Great. Perfect. Change nothing."
Yeah, although with Kishimoto, and it's something that it's not a theory I came up with. It's something that has been floating around pretty much ever since Naruto ended and Boruto started. Um, is that especially later on in Shippuden or in part two, I should say, he very much got not carried, but he relied a lot on the input from his editors, like more than your average mangaka, because he was just starting to get overwhelmed, which makes sense. He was kind of, aside from Oda and Kubo, he was the other superstar mangaka, and aside other than Kubo and Oda, Kishimoto was not all that into being a mangaka comparatively. Like the
Right.
man just wanted to play basketball. Like that was Kishimoto's passion.
The man just wanted to dunk.
Yeah, I mean, really, the only reason he became a mangaka was, according to an interview with him, that he saw the poster for Akira, and he thought, "Wow, this shit's cool. I want to learn to draw again." But he had a huge break from drawing, both as a hobby and professionally, when he went and tried to become a pro basketballer. So it's interesting to see like how for him it must have been in a way harder to live the life of a manga because he did not enjoy it as or not in I don't want to read that into him, but like he didn't seem to be as made for it as someone like Oda is.
Right.
Because Oda like just fucking lives and breathes One Piece and he doesn't seem to mind.
Well, that's because it's the only way he can keep his body sustained at this point. It's just when One Piece ends, he's just gonna shut down like a robot.
Yeah, he's just gonna disappear.
He's just gonna
Uh
fade into the ether.
but yeah, so yeah, with it's interesting to see how Kishimoto managed that, and I'm assuming Obito's design consistency was an editor pulling out like a chapter from 10 years ago and being like, "Hey, dude, what about this guy?"
What about this
So
child?
yeah, this child, literally Satan. How about that? And Kishi's like, "Yeah, sure, just let me throw some hoops, man."
I just want a ball, bro.
Yeah, I'm just balling.
Just let
Shut the
me
fuck
ball.
up. Anyway, Candy Flurry, am I right?
Yeah, pretty neato out of 10.
Yeah, Candy Flurry gets a basketball out of 10.
Sick dunks out of 10.
So,
All right, let's
what's
see
next?
here. Next up on the list is Witch Watch.
Dude, we're getting into the real shit now.
Yeah, I'm kind of like this is kind of what I'm here for with Witch Watch, man. I need some romance positivity coming out of this.
Yeah, especially because this is like an actual arc now because the chapter is called The Tree of Love Part 1. Like, yeah,
We're getting it. We're getting
gimme
it. It's happening.
raw. Oh my god, they're about to confess. Kino.
Kino, this is absolute peak fiction. She's in his
Oh, dude.
pocket listening to him get confessed to. Fucking
Zen-
swag.
Zenith fiction, hallmark of literature. Let's go. I don't know why, but gassing up slice of life the same way we do Battle Shonen is the funniest shit.
Just posting
Oh.
individual panels of her like looking flustered, like, let's fucking go.
Witch Watch in its bag. But yeah, no, that's really how I feel about it. It's so cool to see this like actually progress.
Yeah, it's like
And also
it finally feels like shit's happening.
when the whole thing with the tree came up, all I could think of is Tokimeki Memorial, which is like an old Japanese game that apparently is super influential. Have you watched Tim Rogers' 5-hour review on that?
I have not.
Damn, missing culture. But anyway, that immediately reminded me of that, which is interesting because in that game, that tree is also like, oh, you have to go there and you'll be destined to love someone forever. And the girl arrives there and it's just a fucking army of dudes trying to get loved.
Yeah, I
Ah,
think
it's
it's
so
funny that
fun.
she was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go get confessed to then," and then they were like, "No, we just want your magic. Just just give us your magic."
Hmm.
And I also like
Ah, yeah.
Tengu Boy not getting in the way. I thought he was gonna be like one of those dudes who's like annoyingly in the way. Like,
Hmm.
don't you love me? But no, he's like shipping it. I'm with him. Let's go, Tengu Boy.
Yeah. He's a wingman almost. Like the only way I can uh see him going to get in the way is if he's like starts seducing one of them in order to push the other to be more aggressive. So, and I'm saying, one of them because I'd find it hilarious if Tango Boy would try to start seducing Ogre Boy in order to
Moy.
push. Yeah, in order to push Witch Girl into being more, romantically aggressive. He's like, okay, if you're not getting him, I am.
Someone's getting him, all right.
Yeah. Like, this is a fucking rom-com. You think either of us is getting out of this unfucked?
I know I've accepted my lot in life. Have you?
Oh, dude. But yeah, I really enjoy this chapter. I'm glad that it seems to have a direction, even if it is, very rom-com-y.
Yeah, well,
I'm
I
kind
mean,
of
a
into it.
rom-com direction is not bad.
Yeah.
It's what we expected it to be.
Well, I mean, we did kind of twerk for a couple of weeks, saying, "Oh no, this has to be a battle shonen. Come
Well,
on."
okay, I don't think it was. I don't know if I ever said it was going to be a battle shonen, but I thought it was going to have an actual plot about like a bad witch. But
Uh-huh.
the end game from the beginning has always been these two gonna kiss
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
I need them to smooch then.
I just one, just a little one, just a little smooch.
Now, fuck that. I need them to like go at it, dude. I'm not gonna invest into like a rom-com if then at the end all they do is hug, like fucking Full Metal Alchemist.
I need
God.
three or I need three fully censored pages. You can't see anything. It's just black. It's just black and speech bubbles.
Oh, dude. Have you read Invincible, or have you watched the?
I've watched some of the show. I haven't read it.
Yeah. So in the manga,
In the
in the
manga,
comic, in the
one
comic,
track mind.
in the comic, there's like a scene where two people are having sex, and because it's trying to be PG so hard, even though it's gory as hell. The narrator like stops us before we get to see their bedroom, and it's like, we're gonna stare at this bedroom door for 2 pages now. Just bear with me, guys. And it's literally 2 pages of just the same drawing. That's what Witch Watch is gonna do.
That's
It's just like,
absolutely what Witch Watch is gonna do.
like, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Please bear with us. Like plays intermission music.
That's funny.
Fuck. Uh, but okay, Witch Watch gets a kiss out of 10
Yeah,
from me.
kiss her already, you idiot. Out of 10.
Yeah. Uh, what's next,
All
Magic
right,
Man?
let's see. Next up is that was in your top three, so it has to wait. Mashle.
Which is not in the top 3 for either of us this week.
No, it's always Mashle's. It's weird because Mashle's never been worse. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
never been like bad, but it's
Yeah, this felt like a filler episode from an anime, which is weird because this is a manga. But this felt like when when the anime gets to like a big fight, but has to stall out, so it does like some random bullshit in between.
this feels like a
So,
less creepy version of that time that Polnareff fought a dude as a baby.
mhm.
Probably because that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. It was fine. I like Lance. I don't really care about the other guy at all.
Hmm.
Actually, I guess I don't care that much about Lance, but of the team, I don't know if maybe this is where like Mashle's one misstep is that like the rest of his crew is kind of only funny in the confines of like their interaction with him. So when we
Hmm.
had a whole chapter that's just about them, I'm kind of just like, okay, well,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely think as soon as you remove Mash from the equation, a lot of the side cast kind of becomes whatever, and I think this chapter really suffered from that. But the central gag is acceptable. It's kind of funny. I think the
I thought
fact
the
that it's
one panel
circled.
of baby Lance being like, die scum. He's like a tiny baby was pretty funny, but the rest of
Yeah,
it was okay.
I think the funniest part about this is how it just ends at the same spot as the last chapter, and Mash is just more apologetic about
Yeah,
not
he
remembering the
still has
guy.
no idea.
Yeah, but he looks so sad. Like Mash in that like the final one where he said, "I'm so sorry." He looks so like
Yeah, he's like
heartbroken.
genuinely put out. He feels awful.
Oh, I love Mash so much. He's such a great
He
protagonist.
is. He's such a wholesome boy. He's just doing his best.
Yeah, oh, he's so good. But yeah, like Mashal this week was really kind of a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah,
Like
it
I'm.
definitely feels like I mean, we got introduced to like the criminal canes or whatever, which will probably be more relevant in the future. And this guy sucked. So
Mhm.
like that was fine. We got like a bad guy organization, but You're right that it felt very fillery. Like it literally was an entire chapter that ended on the exact same spot the previous chapter ended on.
Dude, I'm telling you, it feels exactly like when in the war arc in Naruto, they get to the first fight with Toby, and then the next episode is all about how Tenten feels. You know, like this is what this is, and
Yeah, pretty much.
I wonder if that's the point, or if there is or or if this was like genuinely content that was planned to be in there, or if there is a reason that the uh, author is stalling. But like, I don't know. I don't really want to try and read into it. It's just it definitely felt weird and out of place. That's for sure.
Yeah, it just
Uh,
felt very like. Also, this is going on. Okay, let's go back to. Let's get back to where we were. It just
yeah, the
feels kind
only
of
thing
pointless.
yeah, the only thing I can think of is if this was the author being like, okay, let's have one more like completely goofy chapter because from now on, the rest of this arc is just gonna be rawness and swag. Which
Combat
like,
time. We need some jokes. A little bit more jokes.
yeah, one more joke and next time suffering.
All pain.
Oh,
Baby jokes
next,
and then all pain.
I mean, what is it? Doesn't in JoJo doesn't JoJo have that insane sequence of going from fucking Mariah, then the child molester, then the Darby gambling fight, and then it's just pain
Yes.
with a little interlude of video games, and then more pain.
Yes.
So
Correct.
like, wouldn't be the first time.
It's just it's just like the gambling fight and then just suffering. Prolonged suffering.
Yes, and the interlude of Kakuin playing video
Yeah,
games.
Kakyoin being a and Jotaro being really good at cheating at baseball. I guess
Yeah, I
technically
mean,
Joseph being really good at cheating at baseball.
yeah, I mean, or like in part five where they're like, oh yeah, haha, we have this cool plane, and oh no, Notorious B.I.G. Oh, Trish has a stand. How cool! Let's arrive there at Rome, and then it's just like pure pain from that point
Yeah, they
onwards.
touch down in Rome and you're like, wow, that was cool. Oh, oh God.
It's like, oh yeah, we touched down Rome. Anyway, did you know Bucciarati is a walking
It's
corpse
a
who will?
zombie.
Did you know that Narancha is dead?
And then Arantxa was impaled through the forehead on a pole.
All alone in a space devoid of time where no one could hear him whisper his last words. Like fuck.
Uh, I didn't
Part.
come here to cry about JoJo today.
It's always time to cry about JoJo.
That's true. Oh man. Oh.
JoJo made me fucking almost cry about a guy who looked like Shigechi. So like,
You know,
it's
that's
good at
true.
doing that.
That's true. I did feel bad for Shigechi, the little gremlin freak.
Dude, he spends all of his time just being a piece of shit. And then in his final moments, he's like, I have to protect mommy and dad. And you're like, oh fuck, this is like an actual child. Oh
Oh
shit.
shit, yeah, I know. He spends the whole time being like the worst. I'm like, "Will someone get this fucking kid off my screen?" And then he dies, and you're like, "Oh god." Wait a
Yeah, you're
second.
like, can someone get this fucking kid off my screen? And Kira is just like, bet.
Kira's
And
like,
you're like, no,
"Okay."
not like that.
No, not like this.
Literally pushes the delete button. It couldn't be more perfect.
That's not what I meant.
Anyway, Mashle gets a pain out of 10 for no
Pain on
other
the
reason
way.
than yeah, pain
Pain on
on
the
the
way
way.
out of 10.
Um, what's next?
Next up is the Elusive Samurai.
Cool. Like,
Yeah, I liked
I
it.
like.
I liked the. I think I liked the promise of what's gonna come. The new guy, I think, is helping, because ever since
Mhm,
that new guy showed up, it's felt more like there's actually a direction to what's going
mhm.
on. Like they might actually be moving towards something. And now he's gonna make the kid fight for real next time. Like, bruh, this is. I'm kind of feeling it.
Yeah, yeah, like definitely. I definitely think again, this was one of those chapters where not a whole bunch happens and they mostly talk about stuff that's going to happen, but the stuff that's going to happen is interesting enough to carry me through this chapter. And it helps that this new villain, the guy with the ants on his shirt, is actually genuinely pretty cool. Like I think he's super creepy, but also like not in a completely exaggerated way. He's like, oh, I do creepy, shitty things, but I say a prayer, so I'm fine, haha.
Well, he's also
And then
covered in
his,
ants.
well, not everyone's perfect, all right? Also, uh, I predict the new guy is a traitor based simply on the fact that he eats all the time, which means he has an abnormally large stomach. So he's part of
Oh
the
my
abnormally
god.
enlarged body part group.
Oh my god, no. Oh Christ. Not like this.
Not like this.
Not like this.
Well, I mean, if you remember, because like, didn't Assassination Classroom have like a bunch of random ass like plot twists where like the one student was actually evil the entire time and also like
Uh
29?
yeah, there was well, she wasn't evil per
Well, she
se.
was just putting on a front, right?
Yeah, cuz she wanted to kill him, which
Yeah,
to be fair, everyone did. But
yeah,
yeah, she was that was like Kaede, yeah. Cuz she was the sister of the teacher that Koro Sensei fell in love with and accidentally got killed.
yeah. Right, right. Oh, fuck. So much pain this episode
I
remembering
know,
that.
God,
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Uh,
But yeah,
so much
it
pain from
was.
not the stuff we're talking about.
I'm telling you, man, we have a. This is masochism week.
It really is. This
That,
is difficult.
yeah. Um, but yeah. So Elusive Samurai was pretty cool. Kind of not a whole lot to talk about for me this week personally. Like the new guy is cool, the villain is cool, and I'm interested to see where we go. It also seems like our main guy has learned or is gonna learn like an actual named technique, which means we're getting into like true shonen territory.
Yeah, like it's
So
time for him to
yeah.
learn how to actually fight, which I am down with. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I like the chapter. I don't think I have that much to say about it either, just because it is what it is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I like the new guy and his like the fact that he's pushing kind of it feels like his existence is forcing the plot to move to an actual point now. Whereas everyone else
Mm-hmm.
was like content to just sort of be like, okay, guy,
Mm-hmm.
little man, we're gonna get out of here now because it's dangerous and you're elusive. This dude's like, no, no, you gotta. It's time to do fighting. We're gonna fight now, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that about him. I really hope that he's not a traitor with his giant stomach and the last panel of him being kind of dim and creepy. Um, but we'll see. They're making the bad guy. They're really going out of their way to make the bad guys in this one just the worst. So
Yeah. Well, satisfying. So
yeah,
I'm not. I'm definitely not upset that they're making the bad guys a big deal. But yeah, we'll just have to see where this goes. Uh, anyway, traitor out of 10 for me.
potential traitor out of 10. It's who's the traitor, Horikoshi out of 10.
Clownikoshi forgot the traitor out of 10.
Disaster class. All right.
Uh, what's next? What's next?
Next up on the list is Undead Unluck. So we're officially in the top 3 territory now.
Rawness and swag. What can I
Big
say?
time. Oh my god.
Dude, that final page where it's like Mui inherited untruth and she opens her eyes. That's so
It was
cool.
so because she like her eyes are always fucking closed. Just the act of her opening her eyes like that, I was like, oh my fucking god, this is so
Yeah.
fucking cool. And then it has the untruth like branding across it like it normally.
Yeah.
Uh.
So cool. Also, Shen being blue kind of took me by surprise. I did not expect that to be the color of the zombie ninjas.
Oh, full on like sky baby blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like blue Popo from the censored Dragon Ball.
I like the color page in the beginning though. I think it looks really good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think in general this chapter looked really good, color pages and the regular chapter included. Like we got, some more spreads again, so I'm hoping the artist is doing fine because I think the last couple of weeks I've been saying like some of the art looked a little rough.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, seems like a return to form, and this fight seems like it's wrapping up, and it's some good shit.
Can we talk about how
This,
wild it is that Anno Un got third in the popularity contest?
well, that tragic backstory be putting in some work,
It was just some
you know.
serious mileage, let me tell you.
Well, that is very much in keeping with the spirit of Battle Shonen, isn't it? If a
Yeah, I
character
suppose
isn't
so.
popular enough, just give him a tragic backstory. The kids love that shit.
But like, damn,
Which,
how
like,
did she beat Shen?
that that's another symptom, namely the fact that the Japanese audience has no taste. The
They don't know
Japanese
shit.
audience, the Japanese audience voted fucking Shindo into the MHA popularity poll 200 chapters after he hadn't appeared.
I remember that.
That, yeah, like
That
I
was
swear to
funny.
God, the only reason he appeared recently because Horikoshi was like, all right, if you like him that much, like, geez, guess I'll use him.
Guess I'll bring him back. Christ.
Yeah.
I think
Uh,
anyway, back on to Undead Unluck. I think this chapter was actually like it was raw, but it was also really cute. When she was like
Yeah.
worried about him, like, oh my god, do you remember me? He's like, of course I do. Which also means that I guess technically since he's dead, he would no longer be in the group, and Mui would take his place. So are we gonna get like
hmm
dope ass team fights from now on with
I
her using
guess.
Untruth and also Shen supporting her?
I guess so. It's just such a cool like inheritance moment. Like it's crazy. I did not care for Mui much until now because to me she was very much just, the emotional MacGuffin to Shen, who was the one I actually cared about. But now they're actually a super strong duo. So, yeah, good shit. Good fucking shit.
Fucking dope. Just
Fucking dope out of 10.
fucking sick as shit out of 10. All right. So then next up is Dr. Stone.
Dr. Pietra bringing us the fire once again.
Every week,
Mamma
every
mia.
week. So
Yeah.
I got a little worried at first because I
Uh-huh.
was completely right about Chrome being like, fuck yeah,
Uh-huh.
immortality fucking dope, baby. But then
Uh-huh.
Senku was kind of like, yeah, yeah, sort of. And I was like, no, 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 don't do that.
Uh-huh.
Don't just be like, yes, I agree. But then they brought it back. They brought it back
Yeah.
around with Tsukasa being like, that would literally be hell. It
Yeah.
would be
Yeah,
an
I
absolute nightmare.
yeah, I like how they like specifically focus on the worry of it turning into a like everlasting tyranny of like either a single tyrant or an aristocracy, a bourgeois aristocracy that like just fucking abuses the hell out of a proletariat of people who just have to fight just to keep their lifespans going so they can produce for the ruling class. I like how their main concern now is just capitalism.
Right? I
Love
know
it.
that their main concern in rebuilding the world is how do we stop endgame capitalism?
Yeah. How do we stop America from happening again? Jeez.
America really fucked it all up last time. What do we do about this one?
Yeah, so a lot of interesting stuff. Also, the fact that Wyman has stopped broadcasting
Yeah, I thought
strikes
that.
me as
I
really
don't know if
interesting.
that just is because he saw the light go off, and so he's like, oh, "Okay, I got him." But
hmm
I don't know because he didn't find out about them until they turned their radios back on.
hmm
So it's possible if they just don't, because I mean he is on the moon. It's not like he could be surveilling them. So it was
hmm
just picking up their broadcast is what tuned him into the fact that there were still people. So it's possible they could stay under the radar from him for a while now.
hmm Yeah, like it's just interesting because now if he stopped broadcasting when he saw the light, that implies that there's like an actual consciousness there, which kind of rules out the idea of it kind of just being a leftover recording or, a something more rudimentary. It means there's like actually someone or something that is controlling this.
Yeah, it's a decision-making force. It's not just like a computer running on auto forever.
hmm Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's one of those things where I'm wondering, doesn't the Byakuya reboot spin-off have like an AI in it?
It does.
That
It has
for
a robot that turned itself from a little ball into a hot lady, because of course it did.
Oh, oh,
But
cool.
apparently they came out and said that that is completely non-canon.
Oh, well,
I
true,
thought it
but
was
I
always
mean,
in dubious canonicity, but apparently they came out and said no, it's complete. It was just for fun. There's nothing.
okay.
Don't dig into it. So unless
Well,
that's
yeah,
them being like, it was actually the lady the whole time. Fucking idiots, listen to us. Then I don't know.
they make the bold statement that the force that paralyzes humanity and brings them to ruin is just a woman. This shit's written by Naoya.
Dr. Stone, they hold an event after Dr. Stone finally ends, and like, let's meet the author, and it's just Naoya walks out the fucking stage.
written by written by Naoya Zenin, art by Toya
Art by
Todoroki.
Toy.
Oh, I just know Dobby's sitting there seething, having to draw those elaborate ass cheeks every week.
They're just like, Machi destroys the Zenin clan, so Naoya falls back on his backup plan, which is making manga and anime.
Well, actually, it works because Naobito was like such a Sakuga
I
fucking
know.
nerd. And I was like, the old man liked his fucking Ghibli core movies. I'm more of a manga man myself.
So I had to write Kino manga, Dr. Stone.
Yeah, Dark Stone was really cool this week. I kind of hope that we don't end like the immortality discourse on this note, because I feel like I think I said it last week. If Doctor Stone can actually commit to having that discussion, like properly have it, and not just like it did here, kind of gloss over it in the more general terms, I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
that
I
would
was
really sell
right
it.
about a few things that we had talked about before, like the decision that they were going to keep it mostly to themselves. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Tsukasa saying nobody else can know about this. Like
Yeah.
this is a problem. But
Mm-hmm.
then it kind of hits us later with the idea that Gen has been kind of overhearing some other stuff, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't think Gen would do anything, but the more people that know, the more you have the risk of it spilling out. I feel like it's going to be a conflict at some point in the group,
Yeah.
and they're gonna have to talk about like, what do we do with this information, because they can't
Mm-hmm.
just keep it secret and then be like, okay, we'll just never talk about this, and Senku and Tsukasa will die knowing it, and that's that.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. I don't know where they're gonna go with it, but it can't just be something that they don't discuss, especially now that Zeno is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Also super cool page of Zeno joining the group
Oh yeah,
properly.
coding up.
Oh, dude, coding up scenes in manga, top one, regardless
Absolutely.
of
He got the whole
context.
spread of just coding up.
Oh, dude, when I put my code on, it's never that cool. And if I
Also,
try to do
that
it
was
like that, hmm, yeah,
it was cute that he put a little cigarette in Stanley's mouth.
yeah, actually, that's something I really like about Zeno and Stanley specifically. Their relationship is super cool. Like it's not melodramatically emphasized on. It's just this thing where they both deeply care about each other, and like respect each other on a level that is almost instinctual. It's really really cool. Kind of kind of a cool way to show how like even in its most eccentric forms, humanity's most base instinct is to connect to other people. It's really sweet
It
for a
was very
series that
sweet.
can be,
I like the little panel of Ryusui, like acknowledging that he did that. It was cool.
hmm. Yeah.
Is Zeno going to be a good guy forever? I don't know. I think that the group has gotten very lucky so far of people being like, well, I'll just join you and be fine then. So I don't know if he's
Hmm.
going to be a good guy forever, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Dr. Stone is so far that the real problem is gonna be there once they figure out the mystery and once it's all wrapped up. Like after Y-Man is when shit hits the fan because a lot of this right now, a lot of these alliances with even with Tsukasa and Zeno, they very much just hinge on like the common enemy that is Y-Man and the common threat of petrification and how to rebuild society. Like once those problems are taken care of, there's just so many elements to this group that can and probably will fall apart.
Well, I
And
think
that's going to be
Sukasa is
terrible.
pretty loyal at this point because of his sister. Um,
Yeah,
I think he feels like he owes Senku too much for that. Zeno is definitely there. Hyoga is another one where I'm like, could he not vibe that hard anymore? Once he's. But then I don't know. It's a weird position because if Sukasa is completely loyal, you kind of take a lot of rebellion out of it. You know,
that's
because like
true.
even if you revive Stanley right now, it doesn't matter because he doesn't have a
Hmm.
gun. And Tsukasa
Hmm.
could just beat him to death with his bare hands. Tsukasa's a very weird factor in the story right now
Hmm.
because they kind of had to go the way they went with it, with the American group being supremely armed to the teeth with guns, because otherwise Tsukasa solves every problem for you.
Hmm.
And now that
Yeah.
you've removed guns from the equation again, it's Tsukasa once again becomes king of the castle. So it's very weird to kind of parse where threats are going to have to come from and what form they're going to have to take to overcome the dude who can kill a lion by punching it once in the chest.
True. Because the thing with Tsukasa is also like, sure, he's loyal because of his sister, but like he was so convinced of his like anarcho-primitivism ideology that I almost find it hard to believe that we won't get at least a slight return to that once, the dust settles. Because once Y-Man is figured out and once civilization is on the way up again, that's what all these ideologies are reasonably going to come back again, because now the question is not going to be how do we survive this unearthly threat. The question is going to be how do we actually go about rebuilding lasting civilization where we don't have to fear for petrification every couple of years. And I feel like that will be the time when like an author could bring all of those things back. Because also like if you think about it from a personal perspective, Tsukasa at that point would really be at the point of no return where he has to make a choice. Does he stick to the group or does he reconsider the ideals he held at the start of the series?
Yeah, and
Because
I
a
mean,
lot of this,
especially with someone like Ryusui around, who's basically his worst nightmare.
yeah, exactly.
So I
So
don't
yeah.
know. I kind of like that though because I like the fact that Doctor Stone has these legs after you know
After.
when the mystery is solved. Because for the longest time, the allure has been like, what's the mystery? Like, what did it? What did the light?
Mhm.
But now, like, even after that's solved, you not only have all of these different people who think that society should not be the same way, having to make these decisions, but then you also have the how do we parse the infinite life of humanity?
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Like,
there's so much shit going on all the time.
uh-huh. Yeah, it's definitely really, really cool. How it sets itself up for more conflicts other than just Y-Man. Which is cool because you'd think a series that starts with a big mystery, like all humans return to stone, would then for the rest of its lifespan always be defined by the search for that mystery. And Dr. Stone has seemingly kind of, gotten out of that shackle. Like Y-Man is not the biggest problem anymore. And I think that that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm all about it, man. I'm all about it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
All right,
Uh,
that's a good enough spot as any. We'll
yeah.
swing to let's see, I guess number two, which is My Hero Academia.
Horikoshi Remontada. The man is back. He's writing good shit again. Crazy how as soon as you remove the six quirk thing, the story gets good. So funny to me.
I don't know. I mean,
Damn.
he used another. Did he use this one before? Is this not a new one?
No, he used Black Whip at 100% concentration, which is how he did like that one big beam. But that's Black
Oh,
Whip.
I
That's
see. I don't know them by their numbers. I only know
Oh
them by their
no.
names.
Yeah, we have three, which is Fajin, or power release. You have four, which is Danger Sense. Five, which is Smoke. No, five, which is Black Whip. Six, which is Smoke. Seven, which is Float, and eight is an empty spot because that would be All Might, and All Might had no quirk.
Okay.
All Might was just big.
So
Um,
we're missing one. Is that?
yeah, the number two,
Oh,
the
Bakugo boys.
Baku. Yeah, that'll be fun when he busts
Baku
out an
Joes.
explosion. Baku shows. But yeah, I really like this chapter. I thought this is the kind of shit I wanted to see. Like Nagan's worldview is pretty interesting. I like that we get to see more of like the slimy, fucking corporate part of Hero Society, where it's like, oh, All might have been the symbol of peace, but there was a lot of shit going on behind the scenes to keep the show running. Some of which might have not been savory. Like I like that stuff. I like that Deku's being
Yeah,
confronted
I
by it.
think showing that like society as a whole is not a storybook where Superman is there and so everyone's just happy all the time is generally where My Hero is doing its best stuff, other than like Endeavor. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like because the finally saying that, oh yeah, that organization that like Hawks was part of super fucking shitty and awful. That they're
Mm-hmm.
just the worst, and all of the Hero Society is basically held together by a bunch of horrible people doing horrible things to
Yeah,
keep
and by like
the fake the fakeness going.
yeah, which is interesting because in a way it kind of makes All Might complicit because he is basically the big tool for propaganda of Hero Society as a sort of, utopic thing. We're like, aha, we have this one super righteous guy who keeps crime rates low. And it's actually, no, haha, Minority Report. This agency kills people they think might be dangerous in the future.
Yeah, like they
Like,
literally send her out to assassinate people who might at some point commit crimes.
yeah.
Like it's
Like,
fucked up.
yeah, it's super fucked up. Like the panels where you see her covered in blood, and like the moment where she snaps and, can't shake the kid's hand because she sees herself just as a killer. Like that shit's so good. She almost feels like a version of Hawks that couldn't take it anymore. Because Hawks, while he sees that it's wrong to a certain extent, he seems to believe that he can, that he can reform it from the inside, and he still believes that there is an ultimate goal to it. Whereas Lady Noggin kind of feels like she is what Hawks would be if Hawks would have become completely disillusioned with it all, which is
There's
super
also one
interesting.
panel where she looks a lot like Hawks physically, which I thought was cool. I don't think it means anything. It's probably just a coincidence, but I thought it was cool.
Mhm. Yeah, no, definitely. A lot of really, really cool art as well. Like a couple of the pages have the panel borders be bullets that are flying by, and then one of them has the panel border as like the neck of her rifle, which is so good.
I also really
Like
like
just a.
the way that he conveys Deku's speed in the last few pages, where
Mhm.
instead of just like he's got speed lines and he's moving, like his whole body is like stretching because he's just going
Yeah,
that
yeah,
fucking fast.
yeah. Like those funky like body distortions are
Yeah,
so cool.
he's like he's got so much body distortion going on. It looks like he's doing like almost like a smearing animation style in a still image.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And Hori has done that before, but funnily enough, he's only really done it with one other character, which is Shigaraki, of all people. Which is also interesting. Like, I don't think it means anything. It's just like a cool visual, I don't know, relationship between the two. So, yeah, just cool, cool stuff. I also, when I first read it, like when I first read the line, at least the future will buy all for one would be a hell of a lot more transparent. I was like, okay, lady, that's kind of a weird way to rationalize your thoughts. But the more I think about it, the more it seems to make sense to me. Like she's just so disillusioned with the way Hero Society just is one big lie that uses crushed dreams as its foundation to remain, you know, outwardly happy and utopic, that she's kind of fallen into a sort of weird nihilism where it's like, we're always going to be fucked, so I might as well side with the one who is openly fucked. Which, like, again, is interesting. It's a sort of bleak outlook that I don't think we've gotten so far in My Hero. Like a lot of the villains have been a bit more like ideologically, what's the word? Like ideologically enthusiastic in a way. Like they've always been like, oh, I have this
Yeah,
grand ideals.
like a good comparison is probably like Stain, where Stain is like
Yeah.
society good, heroes abusing it bad, All
Mm-hmm.
Might good. Whereas this one's
Mm-hmm.
like no, everybody bad,
Mm-hmm.
all things bad. So we might as well just embrace the bad. and then
Mm-hmm.
at least it's honest.
Yeah. But also, I want to say I really like Deku's reply to it. Where he's like, because the thing is, Deku is shook to his core. Like, she even says it, like, you can't even understand this because you're so immersed in the propaganda of the government. And Deku being like, I guess I really don't get it. I guess things really are that gray. But I think that because of that, it is much more important that I reach out a hand, that I listen. And I think that, as sort of naive you can spin that, I think that is a genuinely sweet way of him to interpret this that is congruous with his character in a way that I appreciate. So yeah, this is definitely Horikoshi back in his bag and back in my bed off the
Where
sofa
he's meant to be.
where he's meant to be nuzzling with me and Akutami.
So
Although
I
Akutami
think my
stopped.
favorite panel in this whole chapter is when fucking Overhaul is just out like, can we go? I really want to see the boss already.
He's like, I just want to see my dad.
For the love of God, I just want to go home.
I love that. Also, this is gonna be interesting. Like obviously she's gonna try and get Deku into a spot by like threatening to shoot Overhaul. That seems to be what she's trying to do. And obviously this isn't going to happen. But it'd be so fucking funny if Deku's like, yeah, shoot him. He's a child
Shoot his
abuser. I don't
ass.
care.
Shoot
Yeah.
his
Murder.
ass. He murders
Like
little girls and reconstitutes their bodies. Shoot his ass. Do it.
he's like,
I will
shoot
help
him.
you.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, if you don't do it, I will. Give me that gun.
Shoot him and I will kick your bullet and make it go even faster.
You know what? Shoot him and we're good. I'll let you go.
We'll
Work is
call it
done.
square.
Yeah. But that's also interesting because I think Chisaki overall now is gonna be the first one, like the first villain that Deku genuinely hates from the bottom of his heart. Like, because with Muscular, it was such a short time thing, and he didn't really feel much towards him because he was, just kind of fighting for his life. And Muscular was, quote unquote, just your run of the mill murderer. And even there, Deku was kind of, grim towards him. Chisaki did some fucked up stuff to someone Deku deeply cares about. So it'll be interesting to see how he rationalizes that, because I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a sort of a test of Deku's current ideology, where it's like, can you reach out a hand even to someone who literally reassembled a little girl over and over until she became traumatized for life? You know,
It also
that's gonna
raises an
be
interesting question of should you?
yeah,
Like,
exactly,
at what point
exactly.
is blind? Because I mean, we kind of had this conversation with Shigaraki a while ago too, where it's like, oh, you want to save him? That's what you want to do? You want to be his buddy?
Hmm.
And it raises an interesting point of like, at what point is it too much? Where do you reach a point where blind heroism is too much?
Yeah,
For
exactly.
me, Overhaul is well beyond that line, personally.
Hmm.
It may be different for everyone else. I don't know, but for me, Overhaul is like, yeah, you could just shoot him, lady. Just take him out.
Yeah, like
We're good.
the thing that makes me a bit not nervous, but like that gives me a bit of a pause is the fact that we know that Overhaul had a hard childhood, but we haven't seen it yet. So I could imagine that this is the part where Overhaul gets like humanized a little bit more.
Don't
Which
humanize
I'm
Overhaul.
not, huh?
I don't want him to humanize Overhaul.
I mean, like, here's the thing. I kind of do want to see what got him to this point. Like, all we know is he was abandoned as a kid and was taken in by the Yakuza, and that's how he became the way he is. But if we see more on that, and it informs his actions more, and kind of goes back into, like, oh, how society on all levels continuously fails its children. Um, if it goes back into that and makes Deku consider things, I'm not mad about that per se. If it's like, little girls killed my dog, therefore I torture little girls.
I was about to say it's
That's
gonna come off like the Cruella de Vil movie. Dalmatians, a little girl drop kicked my mom, and that's why I became an orphan.
yeah.
So
Like it's
now I
got if
blow up little girls with my power.
Yeah, so like if it's gonna be something like that, that's goofy, but I kind of don't think Hori will do it. I think at best what we'll get is something like in the ballpark of Endeavor, where he's a terrible person, but to him it made sense. And then, because then it's interesting if Deku actually and if Deku and Hori make the link between Chisaki and Endeavor, that could be interesting because Endeavor isn't exactly a great person either. And if Deku is like, okay, Endeavor abused kids because he thought he was doing something that mattered. Chisaki abused a kid, although much worse, because he was doing things that thought that mattered. Like, I think there's something there. I need more because I need more substance on Overhaul because Overhaul is such a suspiciously nebulous character, and that's why I think we're gonna get more substance on him because his like background is so weirdly unclear. Besides that, he was taken in by the Yakuza, and that he deeply appreciates his adopted father so much so that he put him in a fucking coma because he thought, oh, you're blinded by old age. Let me do what you can't do anymore. So yeah, like I'm very interested in Overhaul because to me, Overhaul is one of those characters that was super interesting when he was introduced, and then kind of couldn't manage to keep that weight for the rest of his arc, especially towards the end. But that's that ties into how the Overhaul arc's ending is the weakest part of it. But that's an entirely different conversation at this point. Like that's a conversation that's 2 years too late.
Yeah, we don't. I don't think we need to drudge up that can of worms. Oh God,
Yeah, exactly.
the outrage.
Uh,
Um, yeah,
but
I
yeah.
think for me it's just I need to see where Deku goes because I'm at this point where I'm like, kid, you could really fuck this all up for me if you're like,
Hmm.
I feel bad for you. You needed to be saved from a bad life and you weren't, but I'm gonna pet you and you're gonna be okay. It's like I
Hmm.
really need Deku to be like, I don't give a fuck. Fuck you.
Hmm.
There
Yeah,
there's
like.
a point where it doesn't matter anymore, right? Like I'm not saying we shouldn't hear about it because obviously we should because he's a pretty major antagonist in the story. But there's a point where it doesn't matter how shitty your childhood was. You hit the
Hmm.
wall.
Hmm.
And I think ripping apart and reconstituting a little girl over and over again to get her blood is is over that line.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I think
Although you're right, it does raise an interesting question: is Endeavor over that line? And I think
yeah.
there's a reasonable argument that he is. So
Yeah. I mean, you know, I know it's very in fashion to excuse Endeavor because the Endeavor love has kind of boiled over to the point where people are just like, he has done nothing wrong. He's perfect. But it's like the man, like, he didn't just do terrible things. He did terrible things for basically no reason.
for
Like
nothing other than like his ego was upset.
yeah, pretty much. And like Overhaul, arguably, and this is like, this arguably is putting in some fucking work here.
This
But
is totally
overall,
getting clipped out of context.
yeah, arguably, Overhaul did worse things, but for a better reason. Sure, the reason was, criminal in nature, but it was a more substantial reason than just
It was
Endeavor's, I
certainly
want
more
to be
of a
better.
philosophical reason than I fucking hate this All Might guy.
Yeah, exactly. And this is also why on one hand, I think we need more substance on like Endeavor's childhood and what like why he was so obsessed with All Might. But also to a certain extent, I wonder if the story isn't better off without it. Because I think the point with Endeavor is that his motives were so petty and so nonsensical. To the point where if you made it clear what his motives were, you'd maybe almost rob the story of that edge. Although it would depend on what you actually replace that with, and like what Endeavor's backstory will be like. But yeah, no, I think there is a very good argument to be made that Endeavor and Overhaul are both over a line where you could just say fuck it. There is not much to be saved here. Although with Endeavor, you can still say that he overall did massive good for society.
Sure, but
Uh,
and I mean I think part of it too isn't just like, oh, there's nothing in you to be salvaged, but also like how much do you deserve it, even if there is. You
mhm,
know, like could you argue that Endeavor deserves the status that he has right now? Yeah, I don't
mhm,
know. I also like that. we're comparing and contrasting Endeavor and Overhaul, and these are like the two characters who we don't know jack shit about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
It's
that I think that
interesting
also makes
how
it
it's
interesting.
framed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah. So the thing with My Hero Academia, and you touched upon it earlier, reading My Academia is a constant cycle of this is so good, but this could go very bad,
Could
and
go
like,
terribly. Yeah, it's
yeah, you could ruin this story with two speech bubbles, pretty much. And I'm so glad you feel it as well, because I've been living with this burden since 2018,
it's like
man.
those Japanese pufferfish where it's like if you cut it slightly wrong, you fucking die. But
Oh,
if you don't,
Fugu,
it's
yeah.
delicious.
uh, so we're giving My Hero Academia a puffer fish out of
Pufferfish
10.
out
Is
of
that
10.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, I see it. I see the vision.
All right. So the next
Uh,
up on the list is the main event, Jujutsu Kaisen. And once again, when is it not? It's always number one at this point.
if I were a more technical person, I would use one of those programs that can like filter sound like from a audio source on your PC into a voice chat like Discord, and I would just play a recording of like chimps going absolutely wild, because that is how I felt reading this chapter.
This chapter is like has no dialogue in it, but it was the rawest shit I've ever seen.
Oh, it was. Toji Maki is maybe one of Gege's finest creations so
This,
far.
yeah, this is like the magnum opus of what Akutami has been working toward, and it's Toji Bak. It's just female Toji. That's what we've needed all along.
It's just Toji with slightly smaller tits. Oh, but
uh,
oh, this chapter was so good.
it was so, dude.
The,
Fuck the Zenin clan. Oh my god, that long spread of panels that was literally just her ripping apart that room of people. So
hmm
dual wielding Mai and the Dragon Bone.
Uh-huh.
So fucking sick. Also,
Oh
I
my
love how
God.
Akutami draws his heroes looking creepy, like monsters. The very
Yeah,
first
like
panel where Maki slices that dude's arms off, and all you can see of her face is her burn wounds and one like wide open eye. Ugh.
mhm.
It reminds me of when Gojo was killing Hanami and Jogo and them in the subway, and he just had like slasher faces on the whole time.
Yeah, pretty much. Like this is very much. It's interesting actually to bring up Gojo because I definitely think that Maki now has that sort of vibe as well. Like the just indomitable force that cannot be stopped whatsoever.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, you remove Gojo from the equation in anything, then Toji kind of becomes the number two big dog, right? Like, or Geto.
yeah. Which is interesting because Kenjaku's whole thing is like, oh yeah, I want to make sure humans evolve further and further, and I want to do it through cursed energy. But Toji and Maki are now perfect examples of how people devoid, like completely devoid of cursed energy, actually kind of ascend into a higher grade of human in a way.
Right, and I mean, look at all these, like, Jujutsu sorcerers that are supposed to be way better than her by Geto's worldview of, like, oh, regular humans suck. Sorcery is what makes us greater and evolved, and all of them just got fucking trashed. They were
Yeah,
fighting her
and
at the
it's
same time. And these are like these are what are they, special grade ones? Because she even got
well,
Jinchi.
the thing is, they're all grade one. There's no special grade sorcerer among them, I think. But
Well, no, there's an
for
individual ranking that's like special grade one. That's like in between.
oh,
Because
oh
Naoya is
right.
introduced as that. I think now Bito is that. I think it's like the Zenin clan ruling body is like the peak of grade one, but they're not special grades.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay, okay, yeah, I know. Upper grade one, I think it's called, or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that. It's like it's basically the equivalent of semi grade one, but in between grade one and special grade.
Yeah, but yeah, like it's interesting also because if you read cursed energy as, the thing it very obviously is the metaphor for human evil. It's interesting how Kenjaku wants to evolve humanity by weaponizing their evil tendencies, whereas Maki and Toji have been seemingly purged of their evil tendencies and become much stronger, but also become icons of violence and chaos. It's very, very interesting. There's something there, and I really need to like give myself an afternoon to just sit on that
Just
because there's
soak
so
that
much
information.
interest. Yeah, like on a metatextual level, there's so much cool shit you can extract from this, and it's not like spelled out for you. I think that's the coolest part of it. This really feels, like reading, I don't know, fucking Frankenstein and being like, ah, yes, this thing stands for this complete other thing. Ah, I am very smart. That's the kind of vibes I'm getting from this, and it's great. I fucking love Frankenstein. Wrote my semester paper on that. Shit's wild. But anyway, also, I love how traumatized the Zenin clan is by Toji.
I know, the one dude who's like literally the only reason there is a Zenin clan is because Toji allowed it.
Yeah. Which is also cool because I saw someone on Twitter say that, yeah, so why did Toji allow it? Probably because he saw a future for Megumi.
Probably.
Toji had a Toji had a heart, and Maki specifically says she lost her heart in this chapter. So it's interesting. Maki's like an unleashed Toji. And once you unleash that, there's no reason that the Zenin clan should deserve to continue existing.
Absolute just garbage humans. Just absolute trash beasts. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I'm so happy. The scene, I knew that obviously Maki was gonna win, but the scene of the guy, the little dude being like, "Oh, you did it, Master, you stopped her," and it's just unscathed Maki walking out of the smoke holding his head.
Yeah. I really like though how that characterized that one guy. I think his name is Anata, with like his technique where he can hold Maki, but it gradually eats away his eyes.
Yeah, like she
Like
literally
that's
exploded his eyes.
yeah. Like I think that's so cool though. He's like, I believe in you, Master Jinichi. Like it's a throwaway character, but it's cool. Like it's cool that these people have these sort of relationships and things. I also like that Jinichi, even though I'm kind of disappointed he's already dead. I like that we got to see his curse technique, which is just like a rain of fists.
Yeah, just giant like landscape smashing fists.
Hmm.
And then he just got his shit fucking tossed by Maki.
Yeah. Also, I like how we got Gege did his thing again, where he explains something only for it to immediately not matter. Where he like explains the ranks within the Zenin, like the combat unit and the Hei
Oh yeah, the
unit
Hey,
of
the special sorcerers of the Zenin clan that enforce the blah blah blah. Nah,
yeah
nah, you dead.
the
All dead.
the misogynist corporals, the misogyny missionaries. Because yeah, it was all men as well.
Misogyny bottom one.
This is literally like a powerful, strong duo of women taking on patriarchy. I love it.
It really is. It's just like I love it. I love it so much. Maki, I didn't really like I liked Maki always, but I was never super huge on her back in like the Kyoto stuff where everyone else was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
she's awesome." Because I was like, whatever. She's cool. But like after all of the shit with Mai and her just obliterating these dudes, like just girl boss o'clock right now.
Girl boss.
Girl boss
Also,
o'clock.
dear God, poor Naoya.
Are they gonna fight? I don't know if they're gonna fight.
I mean, it's pretty. I'm gonna go out on a wild limb here and say that Maki probably wants to kill Naoya.
Well, yes. Now your stock's just plummeting.
Yeah.
Sell now. Sell. Everybody sell now, you quickly. Invest in Maki.
Yeah. So the only incognito is what is Naoya's plan? Because Maki's plan is probably sword to Naoya's neck.
Yeah, but I don't think I think Naoya's smart enough not to fight her. I don't think he's gonna want to throw hands with her. He didn't step in when the others were getting killed, even though obviously fighting her as a group would have been much smarter than just standing around and going, "Oh, I'll fight her one on one when they're all dead." And his big
Hmm.
thing is like being fast, so I think
Hmm.
he might just bounce the fuck out, other than instead of try to fight her, because it would be fitting for the least likable human being on the fucking planet to also be a coward.
True, but I'm wondering if here his misogyny will win over his cowardice, and I don't say that
Oh,
in
he'll
like
be like,
haha.
"Oh, I can. You're still a girl."
Yeah, like I don't mean that even in like a joking way. I mean that genuinely because the only time we've seen him run so far is from Utah. And Utah is not only a special grade sorcerer, he is also a man. Whereas Naoya has so far shown nothing but contempt at Maki, even though she is even before this whole thing, she was crazy strong. So and she had accomplishments already. Now, I don't know if Naya is gonna have the brains to be like, oh, I will have to retreat, haha, or if he's gonna be like, I'll rather die before I retreat before a woman. Like, what do you think I am? Leftist? Like,
What am I, a liberal?
I'm sorry, I don't drink soy milk. Um, so I think Naya might
Nalia
bite the
Carlson.
dust. Naya religiously followed the theories on soy boys. He was like, "Oh God, I have to cut out soy out of my
Cut soy
diets."
completely out of my diet.
Um, but yeah, like I'm very, very interested to see where this goes. I like how many like small techniques we see this chapter as well with between Jinichi's and Anata's that are like they're not explained whatsoever because they're kind of self-explanatory and just cool by themselves. Um, Also, I suppose we should talk about the two draft pages.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up when we finished, is that we should probably talk about the controversy surrounding the draft sheets.
Well, it's not really a controversy, I think. I think
Well,
it's
on Twitter it has been. Jesus.
well, yeah, but we're not about to shame a mangaka for living under the grind of Shonen Jump,
Not
especially
only
not
has he
after
been
the
living under the grind of Shonen Jump, and he needed for mangaka insert unfinished pages when they need to. It's fine.
yeah.
Also, he had the cover, and he
Mhm.
had a color page, two color pages, because his chapter, was a colored spread.
Mhm.
The man had a week. It'll be fixed in
Yeah.
the volume release. Calm the fuck down.
Yeah, plus he has been sick. So like,
Yeah, he didn't
and
say that he got sick on Golden Week.
yeah. So, it's one of those things where cuz also like uh, you know, considering what happened the last 2 weeks regarding Miura and everything, I found it pretty gross how quickly people turned back
Oh,
around.
immediately turned on it because the whole mantra when Miura died was we're gonna stop criticizing mangaka for their release schedules and needing to take care of their health. And then now Akutami didn't even delay the chapter. He just put in two draft pages, and people were already so quick to start clowning it and be like, "Oh, this y'all's king. This is y'all's goat. This is why blah 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 is better. That you never see an unfinished." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I
Can you
mean honestly,
imagine needing Twitter clout that bad?"
like the fucking the image of a guy whose display name has "Thank you Miura" in it, shitting on Akutami for the two draft pages, like it would be such a beautiful irony if it wasn't so disgusting.
So fucking vile. Yeah.
Yeah. But because the thing with Miura is also now his assistants went on record to say that Miura was not actually even sick. He lived a very healthy life. He took care of himself, and despite that, he died of a stress-related complications. So it kind of goes to show that even if you do everything right, this industry just eats you up.
It just grinds you
You know,
down. Yeah.
Miura was doing sports daily. He was eating healthy. He was sleeping, a regular amount, and still it just fucking killed him. So, you know, and going back to this so quickly, and like I'm guilty of it as well. Like in the past, I've been very shitty on Miura and Togashi. Uh, and
I mean, I
I
think
just
everybody under the sun has clowned Togashi's page of all text. Like, we're all guilty
yeah,
of it at least to an extent.
yeah, and like to an extent, I think in Togashi, like the full text page, I feel like there you can shove in a little bit of criticism because you know because that wasn't also fixed in the volume release, right? Did it even get a volume release? I'm not
I
sure.
have no idea.
But yeah, criticism is fine, but when you're, being this obnoxiously like disrespectful towards something that is clearly the consequence of a very bad lifestyle, like that, is not their fault, right? There's that as well. Like it's the industry that's at fault. It's not the
Right, like
mangaka.
they have to do it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Neo was having an interesting conversation on Twitter the other day where he said that he actually finds a level of moral issue with supporting the weekly format because of what
Mm-hmm.
it does to the artists and like how bad it grinds them down and how awful it feels when nobody seems to care because everyone's happy to just immediately shit on one that needs a minute to breathe, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And it was an interesting subject. It was a very good discussion came out of that mostly, barring the weirdos, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a
like
complex topic and it's a tough industry, and I feel like everyone should want it to do better instead of being like, ugh, this artist submitted an unfinished page because he was sick and had to draw four cover pages and he only had to do a week to do the chapter. Ridiculous, pathetic.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would do
like
better. I'm failing my ninth grade book report, but I would do better.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't even matter if you're in school, if you're failing your class, if you're not failing your classes, like pff, fucking producing 20 pages of art every week is an impressive thing for anyone. And, it's impressive in a depressive way because they're forced to do it like that.
Right. I mean,
And
it's like a fucking assembly line of like, give us your shit immediately so we can pump it out, and then that's it. You have to put
yeah,
it in
like
right now.
if your manga, like the manga you stand, because if you're on Twitter, your identity revolves around one manga, don't lie. Um, if you stand a manga that is from the Shonen Jump lineup, trust me, at some point it had a draft chapter released. My Hero had one, Naruto had one, Bleach probably had one, although I don't know that, but
I'm
I
sure
would
it did at
assume
some
it
point.
did. Yeah, because that's also the other thing. People have this weird idea of like, especially older manga, as like these pristine things where, Oda and Kishimoto, they worked so hard and it was all good. It's like, dude, you're reading the volume
Yeah,
releases
you're
of a
reading the
thing.
chapters cut from the volumes. You're reading
Yeah,
the completely finished product. The
there's an
weekly chapters are not the same thing as what comes out in the volume.
absolutely not. Like, there's an entire page on the wiki just dedicated to the shit that Kishimoto messed up in the weekly release just because he was so fucking stressed all the time. Like, wrong drawings, misinformation that just had to be corrected. Like, and that's fine. It's a weekly release. It's like, I remember when Horikoshi occasionally slips in like little inconsistencies into the weekly release that he didn't plan on, that he just, misspelled something or miswrote something. And he then apologizes on Twitter. And you have always these weirdos saying, shows how much you care about your thing, bro. Like, oh, it's like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, is this where
Yeah,
we're
and
at? Is this where
it's
it's
so
like,
weird because the weekly release is really not like the product. Like
yeah.
the finished product is the full list of volumes.
Hmm.
So I don't understand this obsession with like the weekly release must be sacred and pristine. To me, the weekly
Yeah,
release is
exactly.
like, all right, get your fix and then buy the volume when it's out.
Yeah, because that's the other thing, of course. People who complain about this shit have not bought a volume in their life.
Oh God,
Like,
that's so true. I didn't even think about that, and it makes me mad hearing it because it's totally true.
yeah, like people are like, oh, how can they do this? With all the support we give them, they give us this shit, and it's like you've not spent a single penny in your life for this, man. You
Yeah,
have,
tweeting hashtag goat Akutami does not the same thing as
yeah,
supporting him.
yeah, and I mean, you could make the argument that buying volume is in of itself supporting the weekly grind, but then also the volumes give them royalties, and they are a major part of the money that a mangaka gets. At least that was the last thing I heard when I researched it. To be fair, the data I had at the time was from like 2016, so it's not completely accurate, and obviously it couldn't take into consideration things like the Shonen Jump app, but still the volume royalties are a non-neglectable part of their income. And so, reading the chapter on whatever illegal site you use, because it also doesn't help that a lot of people who say this shit tweet out fan scans.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, maybe think about these things a little before you shit on mangaka, because you're not doing your best here either, buddy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going out of your way to shit on the health of the people who create the product you're obsessed with.
Hmm.
So maybe think about that for a little bit and understand that they're also human beings.
Yeah. But I
This
think
isn't a
that's kind of,
computer that's making sketches and releasing it for you. These are people who have physical needs.
well, here's the thing, and here's the larger problem. The age of the internet has ingrained into a whole generation that anything that you can find on the internet and consume through legal or illegal means for free is not a product worthy of respect or of support.
That is
That is the
true.
reason. That is the reason no one, gives any respect to online content creators. Why no one is willing to support most TV shows, anime or manga anymore. It's because we've we've created this weird para generation. Because I don't think it's any specific generation. It's just the people who've grown up with the internet that have this weird idea ingrained in their head that any product that exists mostly on the internet is not a product. It is a thing you are entitled to. You're
It
entitled to
it's a weird
top
mindset
art.
around entertainment. I had a
Yeah.
conversation with someone the other day who was like, "Oh yeah, I found this entire series on like a Google Drive," and I was like, "Oh okay." I use the app because I want to support them. And he's like, "Okay, well I don't like wasting money," and I was like, "What do you mean wasting money? That's not your shit."
Yeah.
And like
Like
again, we've discussed how piracy has its place, and there are times and places where it's okay. But like these are people who are literally just like, I could spend $2 on it, but fucking whatever. I have to spend $2 on gotcha video games. Like I don't have time to support people that make the thing that I like.
yeah, like again, like if we bring it into the realm of kind of what we do with content creators, it's kind of the same sentiment that enforces this whole, oh, you have ads on your videos or you're sponsored, oh, what a sellout. It's
Oh
like,
my god!
do you want
Remember
me
that
to eat?
fucking poll from Twitter the other day where the guy was like, "Do you consider ad block like toxic
Stealing?
or stealing?" Yeah, yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
Do you consider it to be stealing money from content creators? And like, there were so many replies that were like, "Oh, I can't believe you're this entitled. Oh, you think I owe you anything?" And it's like, well, no, but at the same time, like, none of us have to make anything for y'all either. Not that the
Yeah, I
world's gonna
mean,
go out of, you're not gonna be devastated if your favorite YouTuber stops making videos or whatever, but like, people put a lot of time and passion into the stuff that they make, and it would be nice if you didn't commodify it that hard.
yeah, I mean, no one's entitled, no one's forced to produce anything in the most basic sense, but you're not entitled to what they produce if you don't, or if you're not willing to interchange something. And with content creation, it's even dumber because like watching an ad, come on, that's
Right? Like
not that
Jesus,
big of an
I have
imposition.
never like for me, I'll turn an ad blocker on if like I'm going to a website that's covered in like ads everywhere. They're
Oh
like
yeah,
I'm
I
like
mean,
jumping in front of the article and shit, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I just want to read this fucking thing, and I can't do it.
mhm.
It's intrusive. YouTube ads are not intrusive. That is 36 seconds of like the Aflac duck. Could you just watch the duck or
Yeah,
don't? Click the skip button. I don't care.
yeah, like you know, I when I'm in full content mode, uh, I work 6 8 hour days on my content, and you're telling me that that much work is not worth fucking clicking skip ad after 3 seconds of watching a fucking Burger King commercial that you don't have to pay for anything. You just spent 3 extra seconds watching something that maybe you don't care about. Like I'm sorry, like it's such a weird imposition where it's like people have ingrained it into themselves this idea that if it's on the internet, there's no way that you should pay for it
And it's
because
weird
you can
because
always get
the
it for
internet
free.
has created. It's almost like saying, why should I have to if I why should I have to pay for it if I can just get it here? Well, it's like you don't walk into like a 7-Eleven and say, why should I have to pay for it if I can put it in my pocket and no one will notice? You just go to
Yeah,
the fucking cash register.
yeah, and again, it's even more bizarre with something because poverty exists, situations where you just uh cannot expend anything for the stuff that gives you joy in life exist. If you're struggling with poverty and reading manga is a thing that gives you joy and you genuinely just cannot buy the volumes or buy, then there's absolutely no shaming that, absolutely not. But like the amount of people who absolutely could
Yeah,
support this.
like I agree with that, but we need to say that that is a small subset of these people.
Yeah, Yeah, like
If it's not in your country and you want to read it, more power to you. If you legitimately cannot afford it because you literally do not have money left after your needs are taken care of, because I get it, capitalism sucks shit. I'm right there with you. I understand. But these are absolutely people who are like, why should I spend any of my money on it when I can just Google it and pull it up on readjjk.com or whatever the hell bullshit website people are going to?
yeah, it's just one of those things where it's again, I genuinely believe that the internet has warped certain people's minds, and it's odd to me because you're like 3 years older than me, right?
I am 30 exactly.
Oh, yeah, okay. So you're 6 years older than me. Okay, then maybe this might not even apply to you, but I kind of feel like I was born in that perfect. Oh God, I sound like such a boomer. But like I feel like I was born at a time where I'm like I grew up with the internet, but I'm old enough to remember how things were when it wasn't yet, the ubiquitous hive mind that it is
So I'll,
now.
I'll do you one better because I'm the real boomer here. I mostly grew up with the internet, but I was old enough when the internet became a household item to remember not having it at all.
Mm-hmm. I mean, same for me
So
as well.
the
We
the
had.
internet became like at least for my area, it became like a thing everyone had in their house at like when I was 12ish.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
for elementary school and most of like middle school and stuff, you had that like I'm aware of, or the internet wasn't even a thing. It wasn't something you thought about. You were just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you wanted to see your friend, let's talk to them on the phone for 10 minutes and then go do that. Oh, you want to read this? Go to the bookstore and find a Shonen Jump magazine. And
Mm-hmm.
then right around, I guess, like, yeah, when I was like roughly 12ish, the internet became a household thing. Back in the Wild West
Mm-hmm.
days of the internet, where it was just a complete shit show of HTML pages.
Yeah, like, and I don't bring this up to be like, aha, in my time, but I genuinely believe that the internet has fundamentally changed the way people today think about product. People they think about merit of financial or otherwise recompense. It's the same reason people have no problem stealing fan art and then just being like, oh, don't put it online if you don't want it to be stolen. It's like, why is putting something online, making it available online, why does it have to have the consequence of it getting stolen? Why is that the natural order of the internet? And the only reason is because we've kind of convinced ourselves that, it's convenient. It's what you should do. Even though you fuck over whoever produced it. And in cases of stuff like fan art, you fuck over people who, rely on exposure through their art with their name attached to it.
There's nothing
You
more
know,
frustrating to me than watching someone tweet something they made and it gets like no attention, and then watching some account that says like anime post every day post the exact same thing and it's got like 7 million retweets.
yeah, I mean,
It's so
oh God.
infuriating.
Anime aesthetic accounts are the worst,
They are
but
the worst. Like if there's any type of content I could just obliterate from the internet, it's anime aesthetic accounts.
oh, for sure. Like, but again, I think this is again a symptom of this weird, I don't even know what to call it. This like para relationship we have formed to the idea of internet products. Like, people are so because here's the thing, people have built this weird system of rules of things that are just natural on the internet. Like, for example, if you put yourself online and you complain that you're getting harassment, you're getting death threats, you will always have a subsection of people who tell you don't put yourself online then, like, this is just how it is. And it's like, why?
Yeah, it always seems to miss that part, right? Like the why does it have to be that way part never seems to come up. It's just
Yeah,
like it is that way, so deal with it or don't. But like it could be better than that way, right? Probably.
yeah, exactly. Like, and piracy is a thing that you actually can very clearly construct an argument saying Pandora's box is open and it's a huge business. You're probably not gonna defeat piracy. You do have to work around it. But I definitely do think people take almost too much pride in piracy. Like, people are like, oh, I'm so savvy with the internet, I can get anything for free. And it's like, great, you're really good at stealing.
Yeah,
And it's like,
saying that is no different than saying, "Oh yeah, I can always walk into a Walmart and walk out with whatever I want." It's like,
yeah,
good for you, I guess. Like, what do you want me to take from what you just said?
yeah. And again, like there's layers to this shit, right? Like if you saying stealing always is so placative. Like if you're a budding content creator from, let's say, Brazil, and you live in not great conditions, and you want to be able to create content in order to profit from the ad revenue, but you would have to buy the Adobe suite to produce the content you want, absolutely pirate that shit. Adobe is a terrible company, and their prices are ridiculous and exorbitant, especially in regions that do not have the benefit of being Anglophone. So, more power to you. But if you're a fucking teenager from Massachusetts and you pride yourself in your ability to just get everything for free, and you pride yourself in the fact that you do not pay for the Shonen Jump app, you don't support content creators who get sponsorship deals, you ad block, you make sure you do not support anyone. That's just shitty, because with the ad block thing, you also get into the conversation of it. You're not even gaining anything from it, right? Like watching an ad doesn't
Yeah,
cost you
it's like
anything.
minor inconvenience. There's not even like a good reason really to ad block on YouTube other than like, oh, I have to have an ad for like a second.
Yeah,
Like,
but like,
it's not an impediment to your life.
yeah. And I think this points to another thing that the internet has produced, which is a culture of just feeling superior for being selfish, for
I don't know if
being,
that's the internet. I feel like that's always been the American way.
I mean, I can't comment on America. I've been there a total of twice.
That's two
But,
times too many.
well, I had a good time. People were nice, you know. Um, but then again, compared to the Swiss, anyone's nice. Dear God. My dad here in Switzerland, when he first came, he went on like a mountain skiing trip with like a group of people in like one of those big buses, and he put his camera down on like a rock to quickly pull out, I don't fucking know, like something from his bag, and he turned around, the camera was gone. He was like, fuck, what happened to it? And then another guy was like, hey, I found your camera. And my dad's like, that's weird, my camera was next to me, but thank you. And the guy, I don't even know if that word exists in English. He instead of giving him the camera, he just said Finderlohn, which is a German expression for a monetary reward you give someone for finding something. So this elderly man had stolen my dad's camera from under him and now wanted money for finding it for him. That's what Swiss people are like.
Yeah, no, there's not really a word for that in America. You would just people would just be like, "Hey, go fuck yourself."
Yeah, that's what my dad told the guy. And this was, I mean, to be fair, the Swiss have gotten better. This was like when my dad first came to Switzerland, so it's like early 80s. But still, So, the American people, I'm sure they're better than the Swiss than they were when I was there. But to get back to the point, I do think the internet has fostered this hive of people who take pride in being as toxic and as selfish as possible. Because when you ad block to a content creator and you're like, ah, haha, I don't have to watch ads, you don't gain anything from that aside from the knowledge that you did not support someone.
Yeah, it's
And
literally just like, haha, you don't get benefit from me. And it's like, okay. Like,
yeah,
but what's the positive in doing that? Oh, there's not one. I
yeah,
just
I
like
mean,
the feeling of knowing you get nothing from me.
yeah, I mean, I think also a content creator's responsibility to a certain extent is make sure that, it's reasonable, it's not massively inconvenient with the ads. Like, for example, I don't allow unskippable ads on my channel because I think those are kind of an imposition, especially since YouTube has that glitch where it sometimes gives you an entire movie as an unskippable ad. Did you remember that?
I do not remember that. That sounds kind of funny,
Yeah,
but also bad.
yeah, there was a time when, like, for a while, one of the unskippable ads YouTube was distributing was just this 1.5 hour long Croatian movie, and you could not skip it. And if you tried to watch another video with it, the next ad on that video, if it had unskippable ads enabled, was just going to be that movie again. because the algorithm tried to get you to watch it. So, for me, that's kind of the point where I was like, okay, no unskippable ads, because that is kind of a big deal. But again, the internet has this weird thing where it's very proud of being shitty, which kind of feeds back into the thing we said about harassment, right? Like people are like, oh, the internet's a rough place. It's not a place for weaklings who will get upset that people tell them to kill themselves every day. Like, if you're on the internet, expect that. And it's like, no, like,
Yeah, like that's
no.
awful. Why would you want to be somewhere like that?
Yeah, like the internet for anyone who is like not really, really regressive, the internet is a huge part of their daily life. Like, I don't care if you don't have Facebook, you don't have Twitter, and you're so disconnected or whatever. Like, the internet influences you. And something that has that much of an impact on our lives and our society, we just cannot allow ourselves to become complacent with the notion of, oh, shit just sucks, it's natural. It's like, shit will always suck if we allow it to suck. That's why we have to make sure it doesn't suck.
Look at this
So,
fucking guy that can tell you read My Hero Academia. These fucking speeches.
I learned this one from Deku Midoriya. All my political theory comes from the mouth of Kohei Horikoshi. That's also another thing that I love is when someone can only talk about real life issues in terms of anime or
Through the
manga.
lens of anime. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bad. I've seen some
Oh.
bad ones, dude.
Just like Eren, I will keep moving forward. It's like, dude, you just got outed for rape. What the fuck?
I know. I will always keep moving forward, just like my idol anime character. It's like, bro, you're a rapist. Maybe stop moving forward. Maybe that's the problem.
I may have been outed as a pedophile, but I know Deku would forgive me. It's like,
Oh my
what the
god,
fuck?
I forgot. That's not even a joke. Someone said that.
I know.
I forgot a human being said that phrase.
Oh, dude, the fucking shit anime fans say is the absolute worst. I don't know.
Oh my god.
I don't know why I'm hinging my income on this fucking community, but hey, what can I say?
Even though I've been outed as like a sex pest for children, I know that Deku would see the best. That's why I hate Deku's ideology now. Now I'm like, you better fucking start punching dudes, you little dweeb. Or else we get weirdos like this.
Oh no. He finds a villain who's like genuinely just a fucking sex pest. And Deku's like, you can see like his face is cringing, and he's like he's almost vomiting, but Hori makes him like extend his hand. He's like, yeah, come on, buddy.
He's got his arm out, and the other hand is grabbing onto his wrist, like Kenjaku holding back Getta's body. He's like, yeah, you're okay with me, friend.
Let's be friends. And the guy's like, are you sure? You look like you're consummate. And Deku's like, oh, trust me, I'm more than fine.
He's like physically looking like he's in pain. And he's like, no, it's great.
He's like getting stabbed in the back by like Hori's pen.
Horikoshi's got a pen like in his neck, driving him with it.
He's like, alright, buddy, you either forgive this pedophile or I'm about to switch protagonists. He's like, look, man, you either comply or Mirio gets one for all.
Shake that pedophile's hand, or Mirio's getting the next.
God.
If you don't shake that pedophile's hand, we're going back to Batman Deku.
If you don't shake that man's hand, I'm just gonna keep riding Omakadoki Zoo and forget about My Hero. My Hero goes on indefinite hiatus so Horikoshi can continue his cancelled series. Oh
my god.
Is this the part where we end it? Because
I think so. I'm in pain.
Kaisen. Okay.
This was the Jujutsu Kaisen portion. Uh,
Um,
Jujutsu Kaisen gets a rawness and swag out of 10, as it does every week. The
yeah,
GOAT.
Jujutsu Kaisen gets a misogyny stonks plummeting out of 10.
Sell all your Naoya stock quickly.
Yes.
Insider trading advice. Get out of the Naoya game quick.
Oh, all
Uh,
right.
all
In
right,
that case,
everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 31 of Shonen and Chill, and we will see you guys next time.
bye bye.